Hey, gang. Today I'm taking you to the Maldives. But we're not going to any of those fancy resorts on private islands. We're going to two of the local islands, Maafushi and Gulhi. Those so-called local islands are far cheaper than the big resorts. So in this quick video, I'll show you what to expect if you're planning to visit the Maldives on a budget. And you'll still visit picture-perfect beaches like this one in Gulhi. Now, this is the ferry from Malé to Maafushi. This is the public ferry. The cheap option. It costs 22 rufias, that's about 150 in British pounds. It's only once a day at 3 p.m. Now, be careful, the ferry terminal is on the north of Malé, the same place as the ferries to go to the airport. Because if you ask Google, Google might tell you that it's at the Vilingili terminal on the south of Malé. It's no longer the case. That was before COVID. So make sure you've got the right terminal to avoid half an hour of walk in the sun with your luggage. Maafushi is a local island, so no bikinis on the streets. Now, one thing I wish I had known before to get to the Maldives, they have a beautiful currency. The rufia's banknotes are beautiful, but they are desperate for US dollars. All businesses in the tourism industry, they have to pay their taxes in dollars. If you try to pay in their local currency, the rufia, you'll end up paying more. Not fair. Anyway, parrots. They're not wild, they are attached. I think they belong to the hotel next door. But you can go and say hello and play with them. I've not actually seen any wild ones around. They're beautiful though. I bet they are all over Instagram. Don't be daft though, don't do like me. If you see them having a fight, don't go and give them a cuddle right after the fight. Ouch, that hurt. The island is not big. You can walk from one side to the next in 10 minutes. It is, to be precise, 1,270 meters by 265 meters. It is a very popular destination for water sports. And it is a local island, so some people live on it. There are about 4,500 people living here. Oh, the boys are playing cricket. You can see the influence of the British Empire. As most of the local islands in the Maldives, you've got a special area, like this one here, where you are allowed to wear bikinis. Anywhere else, you'd have to dress a bit modestly, to respect local people that are quite strong into Islam. And no alcohol either. That is the main difference between the local islands and the resort islands. On the resort island, you can wear whatever you want, you can have an alcoholic drink. On the local islands, you can't. But overall, it's a small price to pay, because visiting the local islands is far cheaper than going into one of those resorts for an all-inclusive holiday. On the Bikini Beach side, you'll have a lovely spot for sunset. Maafushi is beautiful, but there's not much to do on the main island. What you want to do is book some excursions. It can be a bit overwhelming though. The streets are full of little stalls promoting their excursions. Island hopping and diving and snorkeling. Going to see the sharks, the turtles. Contrary to Rajdu, the other island where I was a few days earlier, in Maafushi it's very well organized with many different excursions. We were in Maafushi for 2.5 days, so I had time to do 2 excursions. One was amazing, the other one not so much. If anyone cares, the one that was great, I booked with Triton Adventures. Great guides. They might not all be from the Maldives. A lot of the tour guides are actually from Bangladesh. I did not expect to see that many foreigners, but we met people from everywhere working here. Poland, Spain. Out of the 4,500 people living on the island, 1,200 are actually foreigners. This is the next morning. Time to go for my first excursion. I was on my own because my friend went diving. Different boat, different location. I went for a half-day trip with snorkeling with turtles and lunch included, as well as the underwater videos included as well. All of that for $30. Well, $30 if you actually pay in dollars, but obviously I'm from Europe, I don't have any dollars. So if you pay in their local currency, they give you a different exchange rate, so I probably ended up paying $33 because I had to pay with the money I had. The rufias. There were quite a few people on the boat, but it was very well organized and the staff was absolutely lovely. You can spot people parasailing on the way. We are, by the way, in the Kafue Atoll. An atoll is a group of islands. This atoll includes Gulhi and Malay. Sometimes it is also referred to as the Malay Atoll. It is over 100 islands, but only 10 of them are inhabited. This is the lovely little island where we stopped for lunch, with amazingly transparent waters. The tour guides were absolutely lovely, and they let me play with their 360 degrees camera. That was fun. Not the type of camera I'd buy, but just fun to try. The guides really worked really hard for us to get some great images underwater and stuff. Because they want to provide a great service, but probably also because they know that the more nice pictures and videos you get, the more you're gonna be promoting the location on Instagram, YouTube, and social medias in general. And all those videos are included in the price. You don't have to pay extra to buy them at the end of the day or anything. I think I was particularly lucky because in my group a lot of people didn't know how to swim, so the guide and his camera spent a lot of time with me. That was me feeding the fish. They give you bread so you can go underwater and feed the fish. That was fun. Some of the corals were dead, but that's the same everywhere. Global warming, sadly. This turtle was fun. She had a little fish on her back. And although it was busy, you had a few boats stopping at the same turtle point, we were not really fighting for the turtles. So as I was with my nice turtles, my mate was on the other side of the atoll with the sharks. This is the footage from her. She did something that is particularly dangerous. They go down diving 25 meters deep with a washing machine drain full of tuna to feed the sharks. There was a terrible accident last year. A young Chinese tourist got her head bitten by a shark. She's alive. The video is still all over Instagram. Back to Maafushi. Even in Maafushi, when you go swimming, you want to be careful, especially on the non-bikini side. The currents are quite high. Every so often, some tourists sadly lose their lives in the current. Now, as we mentioned earlier, on the local islands, there's no alcohol whatsoever. If you go to the shops, you might find some 0% Heineken or other beers, but non-alcoholic versions only. But there's a way around it. This is a little ferry going down to the party boat. Straight ahead, see the light? That's the party boat. Because it is not under the jurisdiction of any island, they are allowed to sell alcohol. It costs 170 rufias to get in, $10, including the little ferry to get you there and a drink. Now, it was great to have a drink. Not that I need to drink every day, but when you're not allowed to, then you suddenly want one. Even on the dance floor, shoes off, please. You probably don't want to get too drunk, because you've got to jump back on the ferry to get back to the mainland. This is not the music that the DJ was playing, by the way. I had to cut off the music for the video because of copyrights, of course. YouTube. Now, the next morning, we went for another excursion. This is the one that was not that great. It was basically snorkeling with sharks, Gulhi Island, lunch and all that, for $40. But again, they have their own rate. $1 at the moment is meant to be 15 rufias. But if you don't pay in dollars, they'll tell you our rate is 18 rufias. So basically, once again, because we paid with their local currency, we ended up paying $46 instead of $40. It's not much, but if I had known before to come, I would have just exchanged some British pounds into dollars and pay less. This is the beautiful Gulhi Island. You can also stay on Gulhi. They have hotels and all that. It is tiny. And I don't know how much I would like to actually stay there. But the Gulhi beach is beautiful, the bikini beach. I mean, the blue is amazing and it is picture perfect. And it's not very deep. You can go quite far out in shallow waters, so it's quite good for kids and families. They have this little swing in the water with a little sign that says, "I love Gulhi." So that's a very Instagrammable spot. By the way, you're not meant to be taking any sand or seashells as a souvenir to bring back home. It is illegal. And if you're looking for a lunch or a little picnic on the beach, in the Maldives, when you see a submarine, that's actually a baguette sandwich, a submarine. Gulhi Island is very small, so personally I think it's probably better to stay in Maafushi than staying in Gulhi, but that depends what you're into. Ooh, interesting insect on my leg. Now, time to jump back on the boat to go towards the shark point. Now, I said this excursion was not great. It's not so much that the spots we visited were not nice, it's just that the guides didn't care, really. At the shark snorkeling point, there were many sharks, thousands. I did not expect that many. And stingrays as well. Actually, it was so busy between shark, humans and stingrays, it was difficult to swim. Now, back on Maafushi, I had this dried tuna that I bought in Malay. But it was disgusting. It tasted of petrol. I think the plastic packaging was not done properly. So I went to give it to my little furry friends. Want some dry tuna? It's for you. Yeah. And then I went to take a look at the prison. There are only 2 prisons in the Maldives. I think the other one is in Malé. This one here in Maafushi, it's for the long sentences. 20 years, 30 years. And through the first excursion, I asked my guide, I was like, what do you need to do to get 30 years in jail over here? And he said, maybe smuggling alcohol. I don't know how much he was exaggerating. I don't know how many liters of alcohol you'd have to smuggle to get 30 years in jail. I heard that there are over 700 prisoners in there. But remember, there are just over 4,000 people living in the island, so that's a large proportion of prisoners. They've got a prison boat. I guess those are for transfers to bring the prisoners back to Malé or something. And that's a little cemetery there. Now after that, on the other side of the island, that's like 5 minutes away, we run into a little skateboard competition for the local kids. That was quite cool to see how the locals get busy.
Kind of smooth, I'm gonna make it. For 3, 2, 1. Right, good job!
I hope I gave you a nice little taste of Maafushi and Gulhi. If you happen to be planning a trip, if you have any questions, do let me know in the comments. Or if you are a local and have any suggestions, please do the same. Now let's try a local snack. This is made with dried coconut. Interesting. And that's it for Maafushi. The next morning we jumped on a ferry back to Malé. If you've made it that far into the video, you might wanna consider subscribing. The ferry, by the way, that was 7:30 a.m. And there seem to be 2 different ones. One going south of Malé, one going north. Thanks for watching. Bye!